I want to talk to you about 4 different standard tunings. Guitar is generally tuned in E standard. I like to say eat at Denny's, get bad eggs, EADGBE, or you can think Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie, goodbye Eddie. And so that's what's called standard tuning. So when you play a G chord or a G shape, it's a G chord. When you play C, it's a C chord. When you play D, it's a D chord. When you play E minor, it's an E minor chord. Everything's pretty much exactly what you think it is if you already know a bunch of chords on the guitar, okay? Now, I generally play on my acoustics, I generally play with medium strings. So what we're going to do is we're going to tune down all 6 strings down 1 whole step. So all the chords will still work, but they're going to be different chords. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a PDF. I'll put it in a link to it. I'll upload it to my Dropbox, and I'll put a link to it in the description of this video so you can download that later. And basically all it's going to be is just all the notes chromatically, all 12 notes chromatically, and then what those notes are in the 4 different standard, 4 different standard tunings. What made me think of this is the other day I did a video on my favorite Beatles song, it's Yesterday, and I played it wrong for many years, and I didn't realize when I was younger and then when I taught it for many years that it was in D standard. Okay, D standard is every string tuned down a whole step, and again, this one also has medium strings on it that my Gibson does. But I'm going to have to check my tuning, because when you tune down, have your tuner handy because you're going to be adjusting it. Particularly if you have a whammy bar. We're going to talk about electric guitars here in a second. But I'm going to just fine tune this. And D standard is D, G, C, F, and then A and D. So we have D, G, C, F, A, D. It's completely parallel to E standard. So any chord we play is going to sound like a chord, but it's just going to be lower. And it kind of has a richer sound. There's a lot of songs written in D standard, and Yesterday is one of them. But you have to kind of relearn the names of the chords. You don't have to. If you're playing by yourself, it doesn't matter. If you're trying to communicate what chord you're playing to someone else, you might have to learn how to transpose. But like I said, I'm going to have a PDF that you can kind of refer to. It can be your referral guide, okay? Come Just As You Are by Nirvana was in D standard. Yesterday by the Beatles is in D standard. Black Hole Sun. Let's see. Steve Miller Band, the Joker is that. If you play church music, this is Amazing Grace by Phil Wickham is in D standard. Let's see. Also Budapest by George Ezra and Adam's Song by Blink-182. So there's a lot of songs in D standard, but this is not a G chord anymore. Okay, so if you're going to play in D standard, just lower the name of the chord and just the prefix of the name of the chord. Okay, and I'm going to explain that. I'm going to explain that in a second here. Okay, this is no longer a G chord; it's an F chord. Okay, if I made G major 7 like this chord here, okay, or G7, okay. These are shapes, G7 shapes. That's actually an F7. So the prefix changes to F, but the suffix, the 7th part of it, or if I played, I don't know, I get really crazy here. I could play a shape, a G7 sharp 5 flat 9 shape, okay? But this is actually F7 sharp 5 flat 9. So the only thing that changed in the name of that chord was the letter name, F, okay? So this would be F, this would be B flat, your C shape would be B flat. Your D shape would be C, your E minor shape would be D minor. great in here on D standard because that's where you really get that rich low kick going. It's almost like having drop D, but you don't have those power chords. You can just play it like a regular guitar. That sounds amazing. So I have my Paul Reed Smith tuned up in C standard. So C standard is C, let me get those notes in here, let's go. C, F, B flat, E flat, G, and C. So we actually have a couple flat notes in here. We have B flat and E flat. But it just sounds great. To put baritone strings on my Paul Reed Smith to get this tuning. I kind of like this tuning. Something about it, I don't know, I like the... I don't know, something about this tuning I like for slide. I'll often tune this one in open C tuning to get a really, really cool slide sound. But there's a few songs, not many in C standard, and again, you're going to need heavier strings, and you better have your tuner ready. Now, actually, that makes it was a Freudian slip. I said capo. Here's the cool thing about this. You know, it's when you're transposing for a singer. Let's say a song is too low for somebody. It's real easy to transpose it up. You can just throw the capo on. Oh, how about up a third or up a fourth or up a fifth or whatever, and you can just keep going up higher up the fretboard until you get a key that's good for the singer. It's hard to go down, right? And so when you're in C standard, and again it's C, F, B flat, E flat, G, and C. When you're in that, I could capo at 2nd fret, and now I may have to tune it, but I'm going to be in D standard. Okay, if I want to play an E, just an E standard, the standard tuning, if I capo up at the 4th fret, I've gone up 2 whole steps to compensate for the tuning of being tuned down 2 whole steps. Okay, do you understand? So now it's just technically a little out of tune because I have to readjust the tuning, but anyway. So yeah, so technically you could use a capo to bring a guitar that's tuned down right back to standard tuning, or in this case to D standard. Now I've never heard of a baritone being called in B standard tuning, but generally when you play baritone, now I never really thought about it before, but because I'm doing this video, I thought, oh, you know what? I could do B standard on the baritone because that's what baritones are tuned to generally. I could tune this down maybe even a further whole step below. And baritone strings have heavier strings, or baritone guitars usually have heavier strings, and they have longer necks. If I play a E shape on here, it's a B chord. If I play an A shape, it's actually an E chord. Okay, so if I were to go up, so a baritone, this is B standard, the notes are B, E, A, D, F sharp, and B. If I were to go up to the 5th fret, play a bar, and then play a bar chord like this, E form bar chord, that would be an E chord. Or if I played E minor, okay. If I play it down here, it's B and B minor. It's great. I use it a lot when I'm writing for TV, for car shows or for truck shows or things like that. You know, just things I need something heavy guitar in there. And this is a Fender Telecaster Baritone. I don't even know if they make these anymore. I got this from Sweetwater a while ago. I'll put a link down if I can find one. I'll put a link below. It's the reason I bought this one is because my original baritone was a Danelectro, and it had those Soapbar pickups, and those are really, really noisy pickups. And so I wanted something that had a humbucker in it so I could do some power chord stuff and not have a lot of buzzing. Okay, so we have 4 different standard tunings, and actually you could go in between. You could do C sharp, and you could do also E flat if you wanted to. We could have gone crazy with it. In fact, maybe I'll even do that in the chart I'm going to make for you. Okay, so I'm going to put this video in my Open Tunings playlist, but technically it's not Open Tunings, but it's fun to play in and to get this really low, rich sound out of some of your guitars. You might have to go with a heavier gauge string. Obviously, if you're going to go all the way down to B or C, you're probably going to have to go with a heavier string. But this, my Gibson holds the tuning pretty well, going down to D, my Gibson Dove on the acoustic side. So I don't think you should have a problem. If you're using extra light strings, yeah, they might get really loose and kind of squishy sounding, so I don't know if I would want to do that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. I'm honored that I broke 100,000 subscribers. That just blows me away, and that's all you're doing. I give 100% of the credit all to you. You players who watch me and watch me try to fumble my way through these videos. Anyway, I hope you're well. God bless you, and we'll see you in the next video.